We've never had a town crier in Barrie, but there are two very famous town criers in Ontario who existed in the early 1800s. They were both black free men who had escaped from slavery in the United States. One was called George Washington Jones. He was from the Niagara Falls region. And the other one was Daddy Hall, and he was from Owen Sound. And Daddy Hall called out and rang the bell with ships coming in and such like. But town criers were full-time employees. They were both, those two guys were both educated young men. And so they could read and write, which was amazing because the population of Ontario was illiterate pretty much. A lot of people could not read or write. Another fancy word for illiterate, by the way, is analphabetic. So if you're looking at something and my wife will say to me, okay, and then just write a note saying, see you next week, and then we'll enjoy hearing all your vicissitudes. And I go, I'm feeling a bit analphabetic today. How do you spell vicissitudes? You're the school teacher. So I'm good at remembering facts and figures and things, but she's the real brains, right? Right? And my dad said to me when I was 16 years old, Steve, you're not that smart. You better marry a smart girl. So I picked a school teacher. Plus, she looked like James Bond girl. This is what they look like. You can see these guys. And you can see how they enjoyed to imbibe as well. Now, that's exactly the sort of person you wanted to come and populate this town, right? Because they were tough. Lots of them had survived diphtheria, polio, and all the other childhood diseases, right? Probably from absorbing some of the products that they are standing around there. As you see the barrel and all the bottles. Oh, it's bottled water, honestly. Not, right? It's not bottled water. So those are the dudes that you needed. Right, look at them with all their beards and hats and the beer bottles all sat around. Oh my goodness me. So, the ladies' temperance movement said, oh, Barrie is the wickedest town east of Winnipeg. And that's rather cool. Anyway, as we look across now, there's City Hall. Come and have a look at that after. But there is that's the place where the old fire hall used to be, and it burned down because we had several fires in Barrie. And that is a fireman's pole. It depicts a fireman's pole because they all used to sleep above, in the room above the fire hall when they were on duty and have a couple of beers. And then they would slide down the pole if the bell rang. Now, believe it or not, we had lots of fires in Barrie because we were the most combustible town in Ontario because we were all made of wood. Now, what did our town look like? This is the Queen's Hotel, Dunlop Street. Look at the Queen's Hotel. Is that that's a Wild West town. Pass that round. The balcony was on the front there because the balcony overlooked the lake. Because we've shoved the lake away from us now. We've built on it and put all sorts of stuff. But the lake was right there under Max. Or under the other place where the ladies wear very short skirts. Never been in there. Fabulous. Never been there. Just see the sign. Anyway, so the Clarkson Hotel was owned by Oily Tom McConkey. What did he do for a living? What did he? Hey? You know? He was a politician.
Oh.
Ah! Oily Tom. Politician. The Bradford boat was doing really, really well. And as it went around one buoy, a gust of wind caught it and tipped it over. and the 5 guys that were in the boat fell into the water. Well, nowadays everybody can swim, but 3 of these dudes couldn't. They were hanging on for their life. Well, along comes the Aurelia boat, and they've got 2 choices. They can either win, or they can stop and pick up the other dudes. So they went, okay, we're going to win. And they went out. Well, the Barrie boat was so far behind, who cared? They weren't going to win anyway. So they stopped and picked up these guys, right? Well, everything was just fine until the awards were being, handed out. They were going to give this boat this big cup to the all these guys from Bradford were like, you fellas nearly died, you people with a heritage of dubious nature. So they grabbed some sticks from off a fence and started having a bit of a go at them. So they had to call out the militia and read them the riot act. You know when your mother used to say, I'm going to read you the riot act? You didn't know? Yes. Okay, well, I got read the riot act. So that's Poseidon. Poseidon, god of the sea, of the water, of the oceans. Why is it that there? Because we're so close to the beautiful lake, right? Lake Simcoe. That's why that's positioned there. Isn't that beautiful? And look at the columns as well. We hardly notice those. Where Bliss and Green Yoda is. They're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous columns. Caribbean style columns. Beautiful. So look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? That building with me. I just watch us walk down the road by Poseidon. Now, okay, Poseidon, was that the Greek one or the Roman one? Greek. And what was the Roman one? Neptune. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That was his opposite number, wasn't it? Yeah. So we've called him Poseidon. That's what that's what all the books say. But he could be Neptune, maybe, or just both. Okay. The original gate, where you went with your horse and cart, in the back here was where the stables were. That's the stable entrance. So, this guy here, right here, right, is the first mayor of Barrie, Robert Simpson. Robert Simpson, the first mayor of Barrie, and he would meet here because we didn't have a city hall. So council would meet at the Queen's Hotel. What did he do for a living? He was a brewer. Now, this place here called the Flying Monkey Craft Brewery was originally called the Robert Simpson Brewery. Now, they still trade under Robert Simpson, but now they call themselves the Flying Monkey to appeal to younger people. And the Cinco Hotel was built in 1876. Now, it's called something else right now, the Bourbon, but it's still the Cinco Hotel. It was built by the Ball brothers of Hillsdale. It's a Second Empire style building, a classic, and it's built in the shape of a flat iron, like you used to iron with an ironing board. It's 10 feet at the front, but 110 feet at the back. Now, behind it, where the Lucky Devil is where the stables were. It used to have a picture of John Graves Simcoe on the side, done by the local artist Russell Kelly. We did away with it. They auctioned the picture off. It's such a shame, and it was painted beautifully in orange. It was lovely when it was orange. I loved it. They still do the best breakfast in the world, by the way, for $5.99. Duh! $5.99 for full English breakfast, fantastic, right? Now, our Prime Minister, John A. MacDonald, didn't like his mother-in-law. His wife's family lived in this area. His wife would go visit her mother. John A. would stick around in the Cinco Hotel. Now, John A. has a reputation for imbibements, does he not? Right? So, there's only one drunk in Parliament, sir, and that's me. That's what he said, didn't he? He actually said that. And they said, Sir John, why are you drunk? And he says, I have to be to listen to the opposition. Remember? Isn't that incredible? All those things he said. He was quite an amazing dude, and he's still on my $10 bill. Every time I hand him, I'm reminded of Sir John's activities. Now, in the hotel, I'm sure Sir John didn't ask for her services, but in the hotel, occasionally, a lady called Mary Scoot Hodgins. Where the Scoot comes from, we don't know, but Mary Scoot Hodgins would offer her services as a friend to the railroad men and the loggers in the evening time for $2. By the way, I have to show you a picture of some of the ladies Mary Scoot Hodgins stayed in town, by the way. She just moved out momentarily, and then when she moved back in again to carry on, she got even more helpers. Here's a shot of them having a little bit of fun. Isn't that lovely? Hey? Hey? That's, you know, that's during the day. You know, right? So
showing their ankles.
Yeah, showing their ankles. Isn't that lovely? This church here, this little Baptist church, now is a commercial building, but it's built in 1878, as it says. George F. Warnicker, one of the Warnicker family. He's not the guy that the school's named after. That was one of his relatives. But George F. Warnicker went to this church. He was one of the first original guys here. He had a bit of a face-off in 1842 with a man called David Souls, and they were both different parties, and they had a bit of a face-off with each other, and they insulted each other, and it wasn't good. It was like, you know, the television stuff that they do now with you know, the people calling each other all sorts of names and such. So David Souls said to Warnicker, "I'm going to challenge you to a duel. I'll meet you at dawn with pistols." And the crowd thought, "Ooh, okay, that's a good idea. We'll all turn up and watch this." However, the friends of both of them got together and said, "Look, they could both, what's wrong if we get really hurt? They're shooting those things at each other, you know. What should we do?" And they said, "Well, instead of putting the little round cannonball type thing in there, what is it called? You know, the musket ball. We'll put wads of cotton in there, and then we'll put the wad of cotton in there instead, and we'll stuff it with cotton." And when he looks down, they always put cotton in before the ball and then after the ball anyway. So they stood there like this, and they fired at each other, and they fired wads of cotton at each other, which was really cool, because then ultimately both of them were pretty scared of each other, probably. At least honour had been served. At one time, it used to have a Saltire Cross on the top where that bird is sitting right now. Look at that, he just poked his head out. He's got a nest up there. There's a Saltire Cross, which is the cross of St Andrew, and it's a cross like this. And St Andrew was actually crucified on a Saltire Cross and asked to be, as opposed to being crucified on a cross similar to the one that Christ was crucified on. Why? Because he didn't want to take anything away from Christ's you know, yeah, that's right, Christ's glory. So, St Andrew is the patron saint of where?
Scotland.
Also where? Anybody Greek? Greece. Also where? Russia. Yeah, so Greece and Russia also adopted St Andrew as their patron saint, yeah. So I have a picture of this fabulous church when it was originally built, and it was set up, and you can see the dirt street. Oh no, that's not the one. You can see the dirt street in front of it. It cost $9,000 to build ultimately, and a couple of lawsuits. Built in 1841, the architect Thomas Young built it. We had a guy, they went out and said, "Well, who wants to build it? We'll offer you a promissory note." I'm sorry, but if I go to work and they say to me, "I promise, give you a promissory note at the end of the year, I'll pay you at the end of the year." No, thank you, I want cash, thanks. So nobody wanted to build it. But a guy stepped forward called Steamboat Thompson. Was he a good builder? No. Did he have steamboats? Yes. Where does the stone come from? It's Couchiching limestone. Ah, so we're going to bring the limestone from Lake Couchiching up in Aurelia by steamboats. That's a brilliant idea. Why? Because otherwise they'd be clip-clopping along on corduroy roads made of wood logs all laid down, taking weeks to arrive, with horses, you know, dying of exhaustion. Whereas you just float across the lake in a matter of minutes in a steamboat with the rocks on board, and you get big dudes like this to unload them, right? Pay them, And off they go. That was called the Manson House or the American Hotel. Yeah. Okay, this is the American Hotel. Yeah, originally as it was. And then they called it the American Hotel and took the Manson House down. Right?
Oh, yeah.
See? So here it is. That's where our City Hall was. So, I'll finish with a proclamation for you. Here we go. There's the sun. There's the sun. I'll stand over here, then you don't have to look in the sun. Okay. That's it. Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh yay! In 1877, the American Hotel Barrie stood on what is known as now our City Hall. This hostelry had a notorious reputation for card sharks and fast women. That's the American Hotel, by the way, not City Hall. Right? Having sampled too much of the frothing amber libation, James Moreau, clerk and registrar for the city of Barrie, decided to take some air from the second floor balcony. He opened the door and stepped out. But although there was a door, you can see it right there on that picture, there was no balcony because there was a balcony tax that you had to pay. Here's the door. Right there, but no balcony. As James Moreau stepped out into the night in his drunken state, he fell to the ground and broke his neck. And as his immortal soul rose up to the heavens, so his wallet and watch were also lifted by a passing vagrant. Such was Barrie in the 1800s. God bless pioneer Canada. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, well, I'm doing a walking tour today, a historic walking tour of the city of Barrie. And did you know that the Ladies' Temperance Society back in the 1800s said that Barrie was the wickedest town east of Winnipeg, and they would rather their young men go off and join the army than frequent the taverns in Barrie in the 1800s. Well, why did we have so many taverns? Well, for a start, the 9 Mile Portage. So the 9 Mile Portage was here, and you had to portage with a canoe on your head to get up to the rivers and get up there to the forts that we had further north of us. And so all the taverns provided refuge and a good night's sleep, as well as imbibement for the railroad men, the loggers and the farmers who were coming to populate this here area. So wonderful. So at one time we had a population in Barrie, living in Barrie, of about 55 people, and 3 bars. 3 bars. 55 people, but 3 bars. Oh, my kind of town.